Now 7:30 p.m. Okay, good evening, everyone. The time is now 7:30 p.m. This is the September 9th, 2021 work session of the Allendale Mayor and Council. Welcome to everyone joining us tonight in person at Borough Hall. We're also live streaming our meetings via Zoom webinar for those who prefer to watch from elsewhere. We ask those present to please mute your devices at this time so as not to distract from the business of the meeting. And as always, there will be several opportunities for the public present to be heard. We will advise you at the appropriate times. Michelle, please read the Open Public Meeting Act announcement.
Sure. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and on the borough website, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger. Notice of this meeting by the September 7, 2021 Sunshine Notice was sent to the record, the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger, and has been posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and borough website.
Great. Please conduct the roll call.
Sure. Councilwoman Homan is absent. Councilman O'Connell.
Here.
Councilman O'Toole.
Here.
Councilman Sasso.
Here, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you. Councilman Strouch.
Here, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you. Councilwoman Wilsinski. Here. And Mayor Bernstein.
Here. Thank you very much. I do have a proclamation to read, but just Saturday, as most of you know, is the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks on our great nation. It's hard to believe that 20 years have passed. In Allendale and around the country, we will pause to remember those innocent and brave men and women who lost their lives that day and honor the heroes that provided selfless service. We are ever mindful of the sacrifices we will never forget. To the families and friends of those who perished, especially Donald L.A. Della Pena of Allendale, we grieve with you. And I will read the proclamation. It's similar to the proclamation that I have read and the previous mayors have read regarding September 11th. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, the peace and security of our great nation was shattered by terrorist attacks that killed nearly 3,000 innocent and brave people at the World Trade Center towers in New York City, at the United States Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and in the fields of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And whereas, although the terrorist goal was to strike a powerful blow to the hearts of all Americans and tear at the fabric of our nation, arising from the very ashes of that tragedy came a remarkable spirit of unity, compassion, and determination that will never be forgotten. Just as we will never forget those who were lost and injured on that day and in the days and years that followed, and those who rose in service during the rescue and recovery effort and in defense of our nation, both here and at home and abroad. Whereas the tragic events of that day instantly transformed lives, some through personal loss and many others through an unfamiliar sense of individual and national vulnerability. And whereas an unprecedented historic bonding of Americans arose from the collective shock, unifying the country in an outpouring of national spirit, pride, selflessness, generosity, courage, and service. Whereas many brave people heroically, tirelessly, and courageously participated in an extraordinarily difficult and dangerous rescue and recovery effort, in some cases voluntarily putting their own well-being at risk. And whereas September 11th will never and should never be just another day in the hearts and minds of all Americans. And whereas September 11, 2021 is the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks on America, and whereas September 11th has been federally recognized as a National Day of Service and Remembrance and has been designated as Patriot Day to call upon all Americans to participate in this observance through moments of silence, the flying of the flag of the United States at half-staff, as well as community service and charitable activities in tribute and remembrance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Ari Bernstein, on behalf of the governing body and residents of the Borough of Allendale, proclaim September 11th, 2021 as Patriot Day in the Borough of Allendale, in tribute to all of the victims of the 9/11 attacks and many who rose to service in response. And be it further resolved that September 11th, 2021 will also be observed as a voluntary day of service and remembrance in the borough of Allendale, and call upon our citizens and organizations to consider joining in this observance by engaging in activities of tribute, solemn remembrance, and charitable service. So unfortunate that we have to read it because it happened, but we will never forget, and we will continue to do the right thing. And Amy, I know you're going to be speaking about it, and you've done such a wonderful job in spearheading this for Allendale. So I know you'll be speaking about it. Public comment. This is the first of 3 opportunities tonight for the public present to comment. So anyone from the public wish to be heard? Not seeing any. Agenda review. On our regular session agenda tonight, we have 4 resolutions. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the agendas? It's a fairly light agenda. Okay, not seeing any. We'll go to committee reports. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to thank all our emergency services, paid and volunteer, DPW. Once again, we had another storm come through, and again, they stepped up. Everyone, OEM, we had, I don't know how many emails Tyler and John Gill went through in a short amount of time, and I think Ron stayed there for 3 days at the Borough Hall, but I just want to thank everyone for that. As far as calls into the borough, we had 10,586 as to date. 911 calls were 1,552. Fire calls were 143, and AVAC calls were 312. And we're trying to set up a meeting for law and public safety for September 21st. And we're still working on getting public safety's interviews done with those who took the chief's test.
Great. Thank you very much. Amy, would you like to give your report?
Sure. 2:20, 2:30. We had a very good meeting, I thought, today with Hampshire. We have narrowed down our contractor. There's nothing signed yet, so I'm not going to announce the name yet, but there's still some value engineering that needs to be done. And we need to drill down the numbers a little bit more. There's still a lot of documents that have to be done between all the lawyers before we close. So it's a little bit tedious now, but then it's going to get very, very busy, very, very quickly. And I'm actually finally looking forward to this part where we're going to be building our beautiful Borough Hall. Crestwood Lake is closed for the season. Unfortunately, during the last storm, we had severe damage to our beautiful lake, and we had to close for Labor Day. And there's still extensive damage that we have to still evaluate and fix, but unfortunately, we could not open. We did try and think outside the box, but there was nothing that we could do. We did finish strong. I don't have all the numbers, but we did have a very strong year, one of our actually record years in revenues. As Mayor Bernstein mentioned, the 9/11 memorial is this Saturday. I have been working on coordinating it, and it's always like a bit of a heart-wrenching kind of experience gathering everybody, but everybody is so willing to step up and do the right thing. It is a beautiful ceremony. This ceremony, our speakers from Allendale, our trumpet players from Allendale, our singers are from Allendale. It's all Allendale people coming together, the bagpipers. We have a poem that's being read by a resident from Allendale. So it's really going to be a beautiful service for our community. We are going to have lots of flags. It's going to be very patriotic, and it's at 7 o'clock. So I hope everybody shows up. Oh, and the priest is from Allendale. I just secured him, by the way, like today. He's our new priest at Guardian Angel. Last night I met with the Women's Club. We did the water presentation. So as you all know, the council is recommending that we sell our water to Suez. So we are educating the community. And since Councilwoman Homan is away, I did the presentation to the Women's Club, and they were very receptive. So I was happy to start the work to get the word out and educate the community on this endeavor that the borough is going into. And thanks to Mike Dillon for heading up our our OEM and the rest of the crew and everybody else, all our first responders for their work during the last 2 storms. And thanks so much for our DPW for cleaning up and getting our fields ready for sports so quickly. And just one more comment. We were in USA Today. Thanks, Matt, for pointing that out. Our little town of Allendale was on the national newspaper out of all of the states. Our memorial was mentioned in the paper. So if you want to check it out, it was pretty cool. And that's it.
Councilwoman Wozinski, thank you very much. Councilman O'Toole.
Absolutely. Light agenda, light report. The Administration, Finance, and HR Committee met this evening for the council meeting. We've been putting the finishing touches on the capital budget, which will be introduced shortly. And we discussed the borough audit, which is going to be published very soon and then reviewed at an upcoming council meeting. Apart from that, bills are getting paid, borough's in good shape, and all is well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman O'Toole. Now we're going to go to the video. Councilman Sasso, can you hear me? Can you give your report now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. So the Land Use Committee had an adjunct meeting yesterday morning, seems like a year ago already. And the sole subject was 5G technology, 5th generation technology, which is the next rollout of technology for mobile phones, which we're all going to benefit from over the next few years. And the reason we had this meeting, we had a meeting with a consultant who's also an attorney who specializes in managing carriers like AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, et cetera, who want to install facilities in municipalities and cities and other places. And although we're probably a year to 2 away, conservatively, from seeing any kind of 5G rollout in Allendale, but we don't know. It could happen tomorrow. We could get an application tomorrow. But the consultant thinks we're probably a year to 2 away. But in the meantime, it's kind of a hurry up and wait situation in which we joked about. But we want to get ahead of it. And the reason we want to get ahead of it is instead of when 5G rolls out, instead of a 150-foot monopole like we have over by the recycling center, we'll have 10, maybe 20, maybe 40 very small utility poles like we have today. And a lot of them they'll be used on the existing poles for lampposts and other things. And it's a very, very small cell on those sites. So it's a different wave of technology. So it operates on a different hertz and a different wavelength. It will greatly improve what we have today, all of us, no matter what carrier you have. But it's going to take some time, and we want to make sure that the borough does it the right way and that we get ahead of it and that we can control it a little bit. I mean, you can't stop it. I mean, it's regulated by the FCC. It's coming, it's going to get here, but at least we can make sure that we're doing everything possible to do it the right way. So, that's at a very, very high level. Anybody that wants to talk about it in more detail, all they have to do is reach out to me, and I'm happy to talk to them more about it. But that's what we discussed, and we're going to discuss the possibility of having an ordinance introduced at some point, which this attorney will do for free. And if we decide to retain this individual in his firm, when carriers start making applications to the borough, which will not require any review by the planning board or the zoning board or anything like that, he will, at the cost of the carrier, not the borough, do everything to make sure that it's going the way we want it to go as far as we can control. And I think that pretty much sums it up, Ari. I mean, you were on the call. Did I miss anything?
No, Steve, I think you got it. I want to commend you for bringing in Peter Lupo. I know we tried to get him, or you tried to get him a month ago or whenever it was, and we couldn't make it happen, but he was very informative. I think he really brought a lot to the conversation. He said a lot of things. We had some good questions. There was some good feedback. I think I walked away, and I think all of us, we walked away with a much better understanding of what's coming down the pike and how we can best what steps we can take to help protect the borough or kind of manage it and control it. And so, I was encouraged by what he had said, and I want to thank you for spearheading it and bringing it to the committee.
No, it's my pleasure. This has been on my radar for a while. I do have some experience in this area from a previous life, so it definitely interests me. It's also important to point out that I believe he said, don't quote me, but he's already been retained by Saddle River, Upper
Yes.
Saddle River, Glen Rock,
Yep.
and I think Midland Park
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well.
that's right. Yeah.
So-
His credentials. Yeah. I mean, they were him giving us his credentials, but I think he is, from what I understand, he's very much one of the, if not the go-to person around here.
Yeah, he is, and so the call was all good. I like the fact that it's not going to cost the taxpayers of Allendale anything, and that we'll have a watchdog to make sure this happens correctly. Because again, it's going to happen. You're not going to be able to stop it, and I'm not sure we'd want to stop it, by the way,
Right.
because it's
That's
going to be
right.
important. It's going to be important for a lot of reasons, but we want to make sure it happens the right way.
Right.
And the fact that he's also a veteran of Afghanistan makes me like him even more.
Yeah, agreed. And thank you for that. Thank you for your report. Councilman Strouch, can you hear us? Can you give us your report?
Yes, I can hear you. The audio is excellent tonight. And thank you, Mayor Bernstein. So DPW report, I don't know what to say anymore. You think they've reached the high water mark, and then we have 200-year storms hitting us, and the DPW and the entire borough staff in the office and in the field, rose and took care of it. I don't like singling out individual people, but I will single out or shout out John Pasquino. His work in the past couple of weeks has really exemplified what the DPW does. They work hard. They get the fields ready. They set up the barriers. They do what has to be done when it needs to be done. And I thank them one and all. I can't say enough good things about them. On the green team front, we've all been anxiously waiting to see which community was going to host the next styrofoam collection event, because we all have our garages filled with the styrofoam we've been collecting for the past 6 months. And the good news is that the Mahwah Boy Scout Troop 50, along with the Mahwah Environmental Commission and the Mahwah DPW, are hosting a styrofoam collection event on Saturday, November 13th. I'm sorry, that's the rain date. The actual date is Saturday, October 30th, so a little bit sooner. We are going to post this information on the borough website, and I do encourage everybody to use the borough website as your portal for asking questions. There is a wealth of information on there. If you haven't signed up for Constant Contact or any of the other social media information distribution platforms, please do so. It's nice to be informed so that you don't waste your time doing something that is a waste of time. And one of the things that I do when I'm drinking my coffee in the morning is I spend about 10-20 minutes on borough websites for surrounding towns up and down Bergen County. And I noticed that Wyckoff recently had when you went to their recycling page, they had a little cartoon about, not letting your trash cans get blown over and your trash goes blowing down the street. Keep the lids on, keep the trash secure, whether it's recycling or trash. We don't want to encourage rodents to come eat our trash, and it's unsightly for your neighbors and difficult for the trash collection and recycling collection crews. Allendale is putting out a little bit of an effort to make sure that the dumpsters in town are closed and secured and not overflowing. So this is all kind of tying together into where we're heading: a cleaner, neater, rodent-free community and county. So Ari, I'm going to stop with that because I think I've said enough. And do you have any questions?
No, thank you. And I appreciate, and I'm going to overlap some of what you had said, speaking about tropical storms. So I'm going to, there will be some overlap, but thank you for your report and thank you for all of your hard work.
You're welcome, Ari.
Great. I'm going to give my mayor's report, some which will be overlap. I'll try to cut down on that. Over the last 2 weeks, Allendale has experienced 2 tropical storms, Henri and Ida. In total, we've accumulated close to 12 inches of rain here between these 2 historic weather events. As always, our emergency services and borough employees have stepped up to the challenge. As I said in the video that I put out last week with OEM director Mike Dillon, I was happy to share the stage, quote unquote, with him. Our response to these storms do not happen on a whim. Our emergency services led by our OEM team plan and train for these emergencies year round. I want to thank our OEM director, Michael Dillon, our police department, our volunteer fire department, ambulance corps, CERT members, lake manager Tom Biscardi and his staff, director of operations Ron Kistner and his DPW team for all their hard work during the storms and now as they address the cleanup. And I know it's still going on. Everyone in the borough is hard at work bringing Allendale back after these storms. Amy mentioned the lake, the fields, etc. So we're trying to, please understand it takes time, but whatever needs to be done will be done. We thank you to the residents for their patience and their understanding. President Biden declared Bergen County a major disaster area, so we will be applying to FEMA for storm-related funding reimbursement. Residents and business owners who sustain losses in any of the designated counties can now apply for funding by registering online at www.disasterassistance.gov or visit our social media pages and the borough website where we've put up all the information online. I would like to read a letter from Superintendent Michael Barker-Capone. I spoke to him 2 days before, and then I spoke to him, the day after, because that coincided with the first day of school. Rather than tell you what he thought, I'm going to read a letter that he wrote to me yesterday. Mayor Ari Bernstein, as mayor, you are well aware of how difficult and challenging the last 18 months have been with COVID-19 and dealing with the multiple state and federal agencies' ever-changing guidance and advice. For schools, we were ecstatic to bring our students back full-time with live instruction. Unfortunately, Tropical Storm Ida had impeccable timing in an attempt to derail us from welcoming our students back on the first day. Fortunately, we had less damage than some districts, but we had significantly more than others that did not open on their first day and remained closed until after the holiday weekend. Much of our success was attributed to our custodial staff who remained vigilant through the night, cleaned early the next morning, and did their best to provide us the ability to open for students. The administrative team and staff immediately changed plans, shifted rooms, and allowed us not only to open for the first day, but open on time. I would be remiss if I did not recognize the Allendale Police Department, Fire Department, Department of Public Works, Office of Emergency Management, and their immediate responses to my phone calls. The Allendale Police Department taped dangerous areas off, laid out cones, and provided traffic assistance where needed. Our grounds were full of mud, especially Brookside's circular entrance where students line up and stand. The fire department quickly cleaned all of our walkways with high pressure hoses from their truck. When we realized the extra pumps that we bought could not keep up with the basement flooding, the DPW responded with another pump that was installed to drain the basement. OEM was here 3 different times based upon questions and concerns. These are just a few of the examples that helped us open last week. Luckily, I've not had to interact with the Allendale Fire Department much, and I hope it remains that way for the safety of all students and staff. However, I can attest to many years of working with Police Chief Sherb, DPW Director of Operations Ron Kistner, and OEM Coordinator Michael Dillon. All 3 are always just a phone call away, respond to my cell and/or text at all hours, and have always supported me to support our schools. On behalf of the Allendale Board of Education, I would like to thank these organizations and their leaders for allowing us to open up and provide a normal first day to our students who most desperately deserve and needed a sense of normalcy in light of COVID-19. I look forward to working with all of them in the future. Sincerely, Michael Barker Capone, Superintendent of Schools. And so quite a letter from him, but really a testament to what everyone did. And so thank you to everyone. Honoring memory of Patty Wardell. I want to take a moment to honor the memory of Patricia Patty Webb Wardell, whose hard work and passion for documenting the history of our town should be remembered. Patty served as an advisor on the Centennial mural. She was also an advisor on the bicentennial quilt that hangs in the quilt room. She was instrumental in forming the Allendale Historical Society in 1974, and for 20 years she edited and contributed to the Allendale History and Heritage newsletter. Her crowning achievement was authoring the book Allendale, Background of a Borough, which details the historic events and families of Allendale. You can read this very interesting book right here in our library. In 2013, the mayor and council recognized her with a proclamation establishing her as historian emerita in the borough of Allendale. We thank Patty for documenting and preserving the history of our wonderful town. As far as upcoming events over the next few weeks, as Amy mentioned, 9/11 at 7 p.m. on Saturday, September 11th in Crestwood Park. Also on September 11th, the BCUA will be holding its household hazardous waste collection at Camp Gaw from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. rain or shine. Household hazardous waste events offer Bergen County residents a location for the safe and proper disposal of household generated hazardous waste. Next Tuesday, September 14th at 7 p.m. I hope you can join us. A great presentation that Council President Liz Holman has put together to discuss the sale of Allendale's water system. She's not here tonight, but I want to acknowledge all of her outstanding efforts along with the water committees. Autumn Years Living magazine will be having their first outdoor expo of services and opportunities for those 60 plus. It's rain or shine on Wednesday, September 15th at the Red Barn from 9:30 to 2 p.m. September 18th, the Allendale Chamber of Commerce will be hosting Allendale Day in our beautiful downtown from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. That evening, Guardian Angel will be holding its carnival as well, and that's running for several days. So the 18th will be action-packed. The library is holding its fall mum sale. The order deadline is September 21st. You can find out more information and order links in the August edition of the Allendale Happenings publication. And September, my last item, September is Hunger Action Month. Hunger and food insecurity are unfortunately a reality in all 70 towns in Bergen County. September is Hunger Action Month. And in support of that, the Allendale Saddle River Rotary Club will be collecting non-perishable food items at their booth on Allendale Day. Please be as generous as you can. So 2 minutes.
Sure, I'll try to sneak it in.
Okay.
It's actually been a little bit quieter on the 220, 230 front and also on the water utility front. But as Councilwoman Blazinski mentioned, about to enter into the next phase in terms of the municipal project. And so that should be, I think, keep everybody pretty busy in the upcoming weeks. And then parallel to that, as you mentioned, Mayor, and I'm sure Councilwoman Holman, if she were here, would mention, we're in another phase in terms of getting out the message with respect to all of the aspects of the referendum that'll appear on the November ballot. While those have been a little bit quieter, Mr. Kistner has chosen to keep me busy on some property maintenance, some land use issues. As was mentioned by Councilman O'Connor, the police promotion, the chief promotional issue is in a very formative stage right now. And I know that the governing body is getting ready to schedule the interviews of the eligible candidates. The clerk's office occasionally throws in a little Oprah request just to keep us further busy.
They're fun now, right?
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
of them are
some
really
are
interesting. Yes, very.
There's the mundane ones we sometimes talk about, which are really business companies searching for commercial information, but occasionally there's some that are headline worthy.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, do
beyond
tell, come on.
beyond that, we move forward on the AVAC lease, which the council authorized us to proceed on. So normal course stuff, but kept us off the streets.
Thank you, Bryce. As always, very illuminating. 8 o'clock. So we'll do the rest of the reports at the end of the regular session, so I would request a motion to adjourn the work session.
So move, Strouch.
Thank you, Ed. Jim, a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilman Strouch on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Stay where you are. We are going into, it is 8 o'clock, and this is the September 9th, 2021 regular session of the Allendale Mayor and Council. Welcome to everyone who is joining us tonight in person at Borough Hall. Welcome to everyone live streaming our meetings via Zoom webinar for those who prefer to watch from elsewhere. At this time, I ask the public present to please mute your devices so as not to distract from the business of the meeting. There'll be 2 opportunities for those present to speak during this meeting, and we will advise you at the appropriate times. Michelle, please read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement.
Sure. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and on the borough website, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger. Notice of this meeting by the September 7th, 2021 Sunshine Notice was sent to the record, the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger, and has been posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and on the borough website.
Great, thank you, Michelle. So I'm going to ask you to please rise to salute the flag and then remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance of those who lost their lives on 9/11.
The flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Michelle, please conduct the roll call.
Sure. Councilwoman Homan is absent. Councilman O'Connell.
Here.
Councilman O'Toole.
Here.
Councilman Sasso.
Here.
Councilman Strouch.
Here.
Councilwoman Wilsinski.
Here.
And Mayor Bernstein.
Here, thank you. Public comment on agenda items only. Anyone wishing to be heard to discuss a question on the agenda? Yes, Mr. Savastano.
Hi, Mayor. Mark Savastano, 22 Greenland Place. Mayor, it's not exactly on the agenda, but what Steve spoke about earlier, I couldn't hear him over the drone of the air conditioner at the beginning.
Right.
Could you just briefly state what that technology was that he was speaking about?
Sure, the 5G technology, which is coming, I think
Oh, okay.
it's not here, and even those that
Yes.
say that it's here, it's not. It's gonna be a couple of years and maybe up to 10 years. But we met with, the Land Use Committee met with Peter Lupo, who is an attorney, but is a specialist in working with boroughs and telecommunication companies in trying to in the implementation of 5G in the borough. And so very informative. It's on the cutting edge. We really need to be doing something. And Peter Lupo has a company that will help us navigate through that process.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Not seeing anyone else, we'll close the meeting to the public on agenda items. Consent agenda. I would request a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Matt. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Amy. Michelle, please conduct a roll call.
Councilwoman Holman is absent. Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Sasso,
Yes.
Councilman Strouch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilsinski.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Committee reports, they were all given. I gave mine. Borough Attorney Ray Wiss gave his. Michelle, would you like to give your report?
Sure, thank you. The clerk's office is just getting ready for November's general election. We submitted our approval for the vote by mail ballot and the sample ballots over the last few days. And I wanted to thank the Bergen County Clerk's Office especially for all their assistance to finalize them. And as always, we're just busy assisting the residents. If there's any questions or comments or anything, the public should reach out to us.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Ron?
You know, they're not DPW employees. As the administrator, I want to thank John Gill and Tyler Yacarino. During Storm Ida, all those 5 messages that were sent out to the residents of our community. We worked so closely with OEM Director Dylan. I think the communication we gave our residents was outstanding. And then these are the 2 gentlemen that got those messages out. Thank you guys. It was a great job in those towns. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, and you're spot on. And that's a final note to both of you, to John and Tyler. I mean, what you guys, and I know, I mean, I stayed up for part of it. I bailed out around 2:30 a.m. But what you guys did throughout, the messaging was phenomenal. These meetings, etc. I mean, you guys worked so well. We did the video the next day, and you guys you brought your A game. So, you know, from my point of view, you don't hear it enough, how great a job you've been doing. Yep, thank you. So is Lisa here? I know we met with her before. She's here?
I don't.
No,
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
she said she was.
Okay. All right. Okay, open the meeting to the public on any matter.
Walter Widmer, 38 Hamilton.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm a little, I plead ignorance in this whole issue, but you just mentioned the Historical Society in Allendale and all that business, which I'm not totally aware of at all. But Fred Litt just published a book dealing with Allendale.
Yes.
I have not heard a word indicating that he's published the book and that it's available.
It is
I
available.
don't understand it.
What you mean, it's available through Amazon? It's available through him. You can go, I can give you his contact information. You can go, you can buy it from him. It's also available through Amazon.
Shouldn't he be recognized for what he's done?
He absolutely will be. We're gonna, at the right time. In fact, I reached out to him the other day. He's away for 2 weeks, but he will be. He absolutely will be.
Well, I got one of the things I spoke to Mr. Wiss about. I received a copy of the book. It is outstanding. I was going to actually request to put it in the monthly newsletter, but Mr. Wiss, because it's a for-profit book, we can't pick and choose what things we advertise or market. The mayor and council will recognize Mr. Wiss for his book, but we couldn't put a newsletter to publish it, to buy it, because it is for a profit. It's not a nonprofit type thing. That's the reason we haven't been able to put it in the newsletter.
But he will be recognized for having published
Yes,
the
for his
book,
efforts, yes.
regardless of
Oh,
whether it's profit.
Absolutely. In fact, I reached out to him 2 days ago, and he's gone the weekend to weekend, but we're thrilled. I think it's a labor of love for him. I think it's a great testament to Allendale, and
It is.
you're preaching to the choir.
He's,
And Mr. Litt, actually, Mr. Litt's actually, I think, beginning to work on the second book.
Yeah, I know.
He's been in touch with me for some other
Right.
information.
Right. Great. Anyone else? Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Mark.
I
I
snuck
looked
out
down.
while you looked down.
I looked down for a minute, and there you were.
Mark Savastano, 22 Vreeland Place. I just have a question about recycling because, and excuse my voice, I must have been singing too loud in the shower this morning. I noticed that all the recyclables are being put into one truck now. And I was wondering if we were aware of that and what that might mean as to what's happening with our recyclables.
When was this occurred? I mean, no,
The
this was-
last two collections, I noticed it and I mentioned it to another green team member and they said they watched this morning and the same thing happened. So cardboard and all of the other recyclables are being dumped into one truck. And with all of the concern about soiled paper and cardboard, I'm certain that that paper is being destroyed if it's with wet materials from cans and bottles, et cetera.
All I can say is that there's two trucks in town, so I don't know why they be putting it in one truck. There's always two trucks in town on recyclables.
And when they pick mine up, very often, I can see one with the cardboard is picked up at
Yes,
8
in the
o'clock and
past,
then 2 hours later,
Yeah,
everything else. So
I thought about that, but I saw what happened and I asked someone else to watch, during the collection today. And again, it was a single truck where everything was being dumped into it.
we will inquire.
Okay.
I see.
Yeah.
And also, Ron, perhaps you can answer, do we have a direct relationship with the recycler or with Roselle, who actually processes the recycling?
We have a contractual relationship.
We do.
Yes.
Okay, because I know another member of the team has been trying to reach out to them to get some information about what should and should not be in the recycling bins, small items that are not clear. And they haven't been able to get a,
They can address it to myself or Michelle.
Right.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's easy.
okay.
That's easy.
And they were trying to arrange, maybe you can help with this, a tour of their facility if that's possible.
But they wouldn't visit Roselli's, they would visit the one in Rockland County. That's where we put out, Rockland County.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, that's. I can't promise that, but I've been up there. I don't know if they let citizens, individuals in. We've done like class trips or
Well,
things like
maybe,
that.
if we go as a group.
maybe it's the green team. You want to try to go
Yeah.
as a green team?
Yeah.
I can try to arrange something like that.
Okay, thank you.
That's easy.
Great.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Walter, I was trying, when I was unfortunately spinning you in a circle, I didn't mean to do that. I was directing you to speak to Mark Savastano as the head of the green team in terms of styrofoam. So he's the person that you ought to speak to about that. Yeah. So, great.
I would like to support 100% what he just said about the recycling the business. I try like heck to recycle everything properly.
Right,
I've been a great deal of, made a real effort to do so.
right.
And to see them do what he says, and I've seen him do it also, it drives me up the wall. What the hell are we doing recycling
Right.
for?
I'm not happy to hear it. I'm happy that you're bringing it to our attention. So if that's, we will inquire, we will look into it.
Peace.
Great, thank you. Since there's no one else here, I don't think there's anyone else that we're going to hear from. So I would request a motion to adjourn the regular session.
So moved.
Second,
Second O'Connell.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.